Hey guys, it's John here. You know, over the past 6 weeks, we've all kind of heard on the peripheral. Some people very much intensely were watching the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial and all of its implications that were out there. And one of the biggest lessons that I really think that most of us can take from the final verdict on this trial is that everybody's an equal. Everybody's an equal. Everyone is part of God. Everyone is one with the source. And in all segments of society, there's great people, there's loving people, there's also buttheads and fearful people. And when you look at the result of this trial, it's very interesting today looking at what people are saying online. And some people are saying how terrible it is this man got away with it, and other people are saying, thank God he finally got justice. And whatever your side of this is, I think you really need to realize that if you're leaning into one side or the other, then you need to start looking at the idea of, well, what about the other side? For instance, in this case, there was no definitive evidence that he ever did anything to her. There was no medical records, there was none of this stuff, right? But it had her on tape actually saying that she hit him, and he had medical records. So it was very much, for many years he was being abused for being a man. And the interesting thing is, now at the end of this trial, you've got he won the case basically, right? But people who are broadly condemning whole segments of society, or broadly dismissing whole segments of society. For instance, the part of the Me Too movement that says believe all women. In this case, it became pretty evident right on the stand that she was lying a lot, and it was very obvious in the court case as the lawyers just tore her case apart. And in this situation, my gut feeling is that both probably had some wrong in this matter, but she was the one who was the instigator, the one who started the problem. That's my gut feeling on the whole thing. But my point of this video is this: you can't be a loving person and disregard entire segments of society. I mean, one of my ex-wives, it was always difficult to be around her and her friends because their whole life was about man bashing, talking about how stupid men were. And you walk in the room and you were treated like garbage just because you're a man. It wasn't a pleasant experience, right? I've known gay people who thought straight people were terrible. I've known straight people who thought gay people were terrible. I've known black people who didn't like white people, and I think white people didn't like black people. I've seen it on all sides. But there's not one of those people. Even if you take it into Christianity and Islam, I mean, there's so much vitriol there, where that religion is wrong. It makes no sense in the oneness of God. It makes no sense to condemn an entire portion of society if each one of us is a part of God, if each one of us is one with the source, and God is love. So in the case with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, they're both people who have been dealing with a lot of struggle and pain. Obviously, he was dealing with his drug abuse and alcoholism, and according to the psychiatrist, she's dealing with personality disorders and issues of that regard. They both need help, and we both need to give them. We need to give them all compassion. We need to give them all compassion, but broadly condemning someone directly because somebody said so, I think is wrong. I think we need to follow facts. We need to follow proof, because people will say anything for power. People will say anything to make themselves feel like they're the one in charge. And I think that we need to really step back and realize where the words are coming from and look at the intention behind it. Because the intention behind it will often tell us, why is this being said? The most damning thing for Amber Heard in their case was the recordings of her saying she hit him. The recordings of her saying, yeah, go to the judge and jury and see what they say. You're a man. You can't be a victim. Those sorts of things are just not loving, not caring. And I think that in this case, like I said, he's a drug addict and an alcoholic, and she, he's got real struggles there, and she's got personality disorders and issues there, and I think that they're both very flawed people, and I think that we need to give them both the benefit of the doubt, and we need to accept them as love and help them find their way back to a place of being love and living in love and experiencing love, not only for each other but for themselves, because the destructive behaviors that you're seeing are not because they're loving themselves. It's because they don't like themselves. They don't like their world, and so they're medicating their fears. And that's huge. That's a huge statement. Why would someone who is so successful be fearful? Well, you find out very quickly Johnny Depp was abused by his mother, and there's a subconscious pattern there. We often talk about having to set down the past. Well, sometimes people don't set down the past and they medicate it instead. And some people, Amber may have had abuse in her childhood. We don't know, because it's never come to light that way. But if that's the case, it could easily have manifested into a personality disorder. It easily could have. I guess my whole point is that we need to think lovingly first, and not broadly generalize whole segments of society, without regard for truth, without regard for facts, without regard for the reality. And then we need to love everybody back into health, back into a joyful space. And this trial was crazy and prolonged and rammed down our throats for 6 weeks. But now it's over. What do we learn? What do we all learn? We learned that there was a messed up couple. They were probably abusing each other in some form, if not physically then emotionally. I mean, she was definitely abusing him, because you heard it on the tapes. You're a terrible father, you're a fat dad, you're a fat old man, blah, blah, blah. That's just verbal abuse. So they were abusing each other. Why don't we find a way to help them, or help everybody, help anybody who's suffering and going through those kinds of abuses. But the point is, when you broadly generalize, all men are bad, all women are bad, even things like, somebody said, women are bad drivers. I've known a lot of great women drivers. There are people of all skill levels in all segments of society, and we need to accept and love them all for where they are. And that's my thought on this whole thing. And I hope you guys take this in the way it was intended. It's intended to show that we need to love more and judge less. And that's my take on this whole thing. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye. Thank you, my friends, for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure that you've subscribed and you like it, you share it, but also comment below it. Let's get this community talking about these topics and spreading this information out far and wide so we can change the world for the better. Thank you.